Season number 5 of the Kansas Dynasty is set to begin today. We've got a huge matchup to open up the season. Number 5 versus number 4. The Florida State Seminoles return to Lawrence, Kansas, where they beat us a season ago. And we're looking to get our revenge and start the season 1-0 in the Big 12. Of course, in the last episode, as we set the stage for the season, we talked about the major twist that arises here in year number 5. So we'll travel back to the playoff loss against Alabama. Clyde Poole's elbow took a big hit out of bounds there, and he strained his UCL as it took an awkward motion going to the ground. With the adrenaline pumping in the fourth quarter of the biggest game of his life, he didn't really feel the pain, so because of that, he stayed in with a strained elbow. However, as he underthrew this interception to Jalen Mbakwe, he couldn't throw it as far as he wanted to because on the pass, he tore his UCL, forcing him to miss the entirety of this season, meaning that we need a new starting quarterback. And in the last episode, we announced that Kerry Chosen, the redshirt sophomore, will be the starting quarterback to begin the year. We'll talk a little bit more about his skill set along with the rest of the roster prior to our matchup against Florida State. Before we get started, though, I do want to quickly talk about what season number 5 of the series is going to look like, because keep in mind, College Football 26 is right on the horizon. We got a cover today. We're going to get news and information about the game on Thursday with a trailer. I'm excited to break that down. I imagine we're going to get more details about Dynasty mode in the next couple of weeks. And as we get more information, I'm going to start planning out what the EA College Football 26 series will look like here on the channel. Since we only have around a month until the game comes out, I recognize that we're probably only going to have time for one more full season of this series. So that's what we're going to do, an abbreviated Season 5 where we go through the season a little quicker. Less time spent on recruiting, less time talking about some of the other games around the country, and more time focused on our team, probably including an extra game per episode, although today we're only going to go through week 1 since, well, it's the first game of the year. After the season is done, I would normally have a long-term sim so we could wrap up the series in style. I'm not going to here. I have something even better planned that I'll share within the coming weeks. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. But long story short, I don't think we've seen the last of Clyde Poole around here. Now the question is, will he play another down of football at the University of Kansas? That, I think, is a more interesting and nuanced discussion. He's going to have the exact same decision that he made last offseason, since he'll be medically redshirted and will have one more year of eligibility. Does he want to stay here? Does he want to go to the transfer portal? Does he want to enter the NFL? Obviously, we've dealt with our ups and downs with Clyde Poole over the last few years, but he's a good quarterback. He won multiple playoff games for us last year, and it's not going to be easy replacing him. Rather than going for a traditional quarterback battle, we decided to name Kerry Chosen, the redshirt sophomore, as the starting quarterback over Carl Willingham and Trey West. Had Clyde Poole never gotten injured, it's likely that Chosen would have entered the transfer portal after last year. He has done his time. He's been developing in the wings over the last 2 years, and as a former 4-star recruit, he feels like he's ready to start. With the injury to Chosen, however, we knew that we would need probably him to come in and start. We had to beg him and implore him to stick around, and the only way he would stay is if he was guaranteed the starting job, and I felt like we had to give him that promise. Yeah, maybe Carl Willingham has more long-term upside in the quarterback room, but Kerry Chosen is by far the most ready of all the guys in the room to start right away. We need a guy who's going to be able to command the offense, looks competent, and is consistent for us with the loss of Clyde Poole. Maybe Carl Willingham can do that, but we don't really know. We have a lot more confidence in Kerry Chosen because he has more in-game reps. He's been developing for a full year longer here than Willingham, and we felt like our best chance of winning this year is with him under center. Obviously, there's going to be an entirely new play style. Clyde Poole is a scrambler. He loves to run around. He makes his money out of structure, out of the pocket. Kerry Chosen can run. He can scramble. He can do all those things, but he's much more of a traditional quarterback compared to Poole. There's going to be less big plays as a runner, but probably more consistency in the pocket. These pro-styled offenses have been very successful in this series. You look at teams like Alabama and USC. who have been contenders with Eli Holstein and Sam Onatulu, who are probably going to be the top 2 picks of the NFL draft. We'll find tomorrow in the upcoming Broncos franchise episode. I think the usage rates for our wide receivers is going to be more consistent since there's going to be more throwing the ball in the pocket. A guy like Amani Law is probably going to get the ball more, which benefits our team because he's a really good player. We're still going to run the ball quite a bit. I still think that's going to be our identity, but it's going to be much more of a traditional offense than what we've seen in the past. However, it's not just about the quarterback position with this team. We've got 80 other players on the roster who we've got to figure out what their roles are going to be. It's another small senior class, largely because a lot of the guys who started on the original roster have either left or transferred out. We've pretty much cleared the way for this team to be entirely players we've recruited, with the exception of Jalen Todd, who has stuck around since day one. He is the only player from the Season 1 roster still here. What I find especially interesting is we only have 3 true seniors who would have been recruited in Season number 1. Many of the faces from our Year 1 recruiting class are gone, with Seth Jennings in the NFL, guys like Isaiah Lamore, Devontae Crispin, and Isaiah Lamore transferring away. And of those 3 guys, only one of them really counts, because Clyde Poole's not going to play this year. Marco Liesel is new. We just got him in the transfer portal. So the only Year 1 recruit who is a true senior who will play this year is the kicker, Anthony Escalante. That's it. Let's go through this roster real quick, try to break down many of these position groups, particularly a lot of the new players who you should get familiar with. We've already talked a lot about these quarterbacks, but as I said earlier, there's 80 other players on the roster. The running back room will be fairly similar to what we've had last year. Cornell Teamer, Ty Lord, and Nicholas Scotland-Williamson will all get major roles. We were certainly blindsided by the loss of Jazir Tolbert going to TCU, who might be our biggest competition in the Big 12. Tolbert wanted to be a starter, and to be fair to him, he's not going to get to do that here, but he would at TCU. I'm very excited about the season upcoming for the junior Cornell Teamer, who's a 92 overall, the highest rated player on the team. I think if he plays well, he could go in the first round of the NFL draft. He had a really strong sophomore season, over 1,000 yards on the ground with 10 touchdowns, first-time team captain. He is going to be the engine of this offense, and we will go as far as he takes us. But he's not the only back here. Ty Lord, who was injured last year during the playoffs, is back. Nicholas Scotland-Williamson is going to see more reps as a short yardage back with Tolbert gone. And we've got some talented youngsters. Dakota Cornelius has developed well. Jamison Michaels, I think, has a chance to be the starter in a few years once guys like Teamer and Lord eventually leave for the NFL. So the way I see it is Teamer is the 1A, Lord is the 1B, the Robin to Cornell Teamer's Batman. Nicholas Scotland-Williamson will be the third wheel, and I think some of these guys are going to make a big impact on special teams. In terms of our kick and punt return, we're going to see a lot of Rodney Mama, we're going to see a lot of Dakota Cornelius. Elijah Paris might be getting some kickoff duty, but we might take him out of that role since he's going to play such a big role for us on offense. As we look at the receiving core, it'll be Rajon Jones and Amani Law on the outside once again. Law had over 1,000 yards, but I think in this offense, he's better suited to be really, really good. As for the slot receiver, it will be the true freshman Elijah Parrish, the 5-star, who in my opinion is the best player we have ever recruited in this series. This dude has a chance to be a stud, and my bold prediction for this year is that Elijah Parrish leads the team in receptions. I don't know if he's going to lead in yards. Amani Law averaged 20 yards per catch last year. But I think Elijah Parrish is going to be a very consistent option for us immediately. And I think Kerry Chosen is going to like having him as a guy who can get open in the short area of the field. He can really stretch the field, though. 97 speed, an absolute burner. Excellent short area quickness. Dynamic with the football in his hands. Your very traditional slot receiver. If the route running and separation ability gets a little more consistent, look out. True freshman Hakeem Ficken is going to play a lot as well. 6'3", 200, excellent body control at his size. He'll replace the Rasheem Diggs role, but probably play a little bit more than Rasheem Diggs. The reason why we need a replacement for Diggs at wide receiver is because, well, he's no longer playing wide receiver. With Isaiah Lamore's surprise transfer to the Ohio State University, we needed a new starting tight end, and after losing out on Trey'Dez Green in the transfer portal going to TCU, I decided to do something a little bit unconventional. Pierre Johnson is an 86 overall, but he is a blocking tight end, and the best fit in our scheme is someone who is more of a pass catcher, someone who can stretch the field vertically, like Isaiah Lamore. And the guy who's best fit to do this on this roster is Rasheem Diggs. So we've bulked him up. He's added 25 pounds. He now weighs 223 pounds. He's lost some speed and some quickness, but he's added some strength, and he has improved a lot as a blocker. He will be the starting tight end, while Pierre Johnson will actually be the starting fullback. He will be our Rivaldo Fairweather. Now that we know how important the fullback position is from the Broncos series, Johnson will likely play a role for this team, while Rasheem Diggs is the tight end. In terms of other guys to watch, I was really impressed with Edward Brzezinski's offseason. I did not know he had a chance to be this highly rated this quick. And then Edward Babers, who was nearly a 5-star, he might have a chance to play quite a bit early on. As for the offensive line, it's kind of ironic because we had so many different starting offensive line combinations last year. But to start the year, it's the exact same group we had in the playoffs. Chanel and Denbo as the tackles, Sample and Benji Trahan as the guards, and Luis Roche at center, with Terrell Butts, who was our starting center for the first half of last year, being redshirted, as he's expected to miss most of the year with an injury. So this way, he'll still have 2 years of eligibility after this one. So no new starters on the offensive line, although I think the play of our line is going to be a lot more important than it was in the past, because Clyde Poole might be the only quarterback ever who doesn't need good offensive line play. Kerry Chosen's not like him. He's a little more normal, so he's going to need good production up front. As for the D-line, Dekias Brinkley is going to be in the NFL tomorrow. So will Seth Jennings. So that means the combination of Afa G, Roddy Orr, and Devin Murphy are all going to have to step up. One of these guys is going to need to become our alpha. In terms of depth, we're going to see some new faces. Kerry Folk, the redshirt sophomore, is going to play quite a bit. A couple of years ago in the Season 3 recruiting class, we brought in a ton of defensive linemen. That includes Afa G, who's going to play a lot this year. I think behind G, the guy I'm next excited about is Kyrie Brower. I wanted to have him play a lot last year. He got some reps early, wasn't that impressive, so we decided to redshirt him. I think he's ready to rock, though, with 4 years of eligibility. After him, you've got Josh Metz and Sam Banovich, who I think are pretty solid. And then inside, we're going to see more Greg Von Olhofen. Top 100 recruit, redshirt freshman, another guy who I wanted to have a bigger role last year. I don't think he was quite ready, but this year might be his year. Afia Kiaho, he was really good in the playoff last year. I think he's going to play a little bit more. Dylan Countess, his progression kind of disappointed me, but I do like his skill set. I think he's going to end up playing quite a bit as well. It's a deep D line group outside of Orr, Murphy, and Afa G. Who really knows who's going to have the reps behind them? The linebacking core has developed really, really well over the last few years, and we're probably going to have 5 guys play big roles for us. Mono Okeji will be our number 1 linebacker. He will lead the way, and I think his main partner in crime will actually be a freshman. The development of Leon Ibrahim this offseason was very impressive, but not really a surprise. We were so high on him coming out of high school. He wasn't that highly ranked as one of the lesser 4-stars in his class, but he was one of the first players we got to commit because we really prioritized him and were able to land him. Bo Muse and Soma Satele both had good off seasons as well. I think each of them could play quite a bit. And then Santiago Herrera and Zach Stokes. Stokes now a first-time captain. Both of these guys played a big role in the defense last year, and I expect they both will again. As for the cornerback position, Jalen Todd, first-time captain, first year as a full-time starter on the outside. He'll be joined by Quantavius Landers. We need more consistency, though, from Landers, the former 5-star, now a junior. As for the slot, it's going to be a pretty open competition. We've got a lot of guys who are good enough to play there. Viliami Manupuna has waited his time. He's been here for the last 3 years. We recruited him back in year number 1, and he's continued to get better and better and better. I think he has earned the chance to have a bigger role. There's also Marco Liesel, who we got in the transfer portal from Iowa State. The senior has a lot of slot experience. That's where he played last year in the Iowa State defense. So if we're looking for a guy who's probably going to be the best fit right away, Liesel has the most slot production of any corner on this roster. In terms of the younger guy, I would watch out for Cornell Abreu, one of my favorite players in the Season 3 recruiting class. Redshirted him last year, and I think he'll finally be able to see the field. The half-brother of running back Ty Lord, I think Abreu has a chance to be even better than his brother, which says a lot because Ty Lord is really damn good. It might be an uphill battle for Abreu early on with older guys like Manu Puna and Liesel ahead of him, but I think Cornell Abreu has the highest ceiling of anybody in the cornerback room. At safety, again, it's going to be an open competition because we've got really 4 or 5 guys who are good enough to start. That includes Javier Callaway, the number 1 ranked player in the transfer portal coming from Nebraska. I think the Huskers used him wrong. They used him as a center field, free safety type, but I think he's better as a strong safety. Really good against the run. Want him maybe closer to the line of scrimmage. He could end up being our slot corner. Tremonti Coleman from the rival Kansas State is more of your traditional free safety. Coleman has been the number 3 safety in the Kansas State rotation. He wanted to be a starter. Can't really guarantee that, though, with guys like Brandon Hines and Marcus Ashe, who have given us big roles over the last couple of years. Cordell Hurley, the redshirt freshman, I think has the highest upside of any player in the safety room. J.P. Hussein is a guy who's developed really well, too. So I think the secondary with our new transfers certainly clogs things up a little bit. I like the competition, though. Iron sharpens iron. We've got a lot of guys who are good enough to start. And I feel like our defense doesn't have 11 starters. They really are going to have like 20. I mean, there's a lot of guys who are going to play big roles for us. In terms of the schedule, I've made one switch from the last episode. I was reminded in the comments that we need to have Missouri. We did not play against them last year. I want them back on the schedule, so I made it a point to schedule them in Week 4. We start, of course, against Florida State. Top 5 matchup in the Big 12. I normally like to have a lesser opponent, certainly not in conference to start the year. This is a little bit different, though. A high-pressure game. We're not settling into the year. We are getting thrown into the fire. Then we go to the shoe at Ohio State. After that, much-needed bye week versus Missouri, versus Colorado. Great game against them last year. Versus SMU, we'll get to see Sean Pollard. Week 8, certainly the game of the year. We'll play TCU. Jazir Tolbert, Devontae Crispin, Ben Bieria all return to Lawrence. And then 2 weeks later, we head to Manhattan, face it off against Kansas State, the Tremonti Coleman revenge game, and our first time on the road at Kansas State since all the way back in year number 1. Jalen Todd is the only guy on our team who would have ever gone to Manhattan to see Kansas State, and he was being redshirted that year. It's not even like he was playing. So we start in the media poll, ranked number 4 behind the defending champion Alabama, along with TCU and LSU. We're number 2 in the coaches poll, though. The coaches know ball. It's interesting that we're ranked this high, though, given the quarterback switch. A lot of teams with new quarterbacks, though, ranked highly. Of this top group, I'm pretty sure LSU and TCU are the only ones returning their quarterbacks from last year. I think the biggest surprise for me is probably Notre Dame at 25. I mean, they won, 9 or 10 games last year? Jay Pitts, the college football playoff MVP from 2 years ago, is back, and he's looking for a revenge tour after missing the playoff last year. So I feel like they could really outperform that ranking. That number does not feel right. They should be in the top 10, if we're being completely honest. The preseason All-Americans are pretty much all ratings-based, so I don't really care, but Cornell Teamer and Javier Callaway, both on the first team. As for the Big 12, Teamer, Reggie Chanel, Kenyon Denbo, and Javier Callaway. On the second team, Ty Lord, Pierre Johnson, Roddy Orr, Monu Okeji, and Anthony Escalante. You know the preseason teams don't really matter when Isaac Wilson is the first-team quarterback in the Big 12, and Hoss Haney is the second-team guy when Hoss Haney is maybe the best quarterback in the country right now. As for recruiting, now that we've become a really good program, there's a lot of guys who are interested, including the number 1 player in the nation. A lot of 5-stars. That's like 10 or 12 5-stars who want to come here. So all 35 players on the board have initial interest in our team. They are all either 5 or 4 stars. We had to be a little bit more selective. I wanted to focus on the guys who I think are really good and the guys who seem like they actually want to come here. In terms of the notable storylines, we have 2 quarterbacks on the board, including a 5-star in Cole Tam and a 4-star in Jonathan Kute. What I find interesting about these two is that they are from the exact same hometown, Aurora, Colorado, a suburb just outside of Denver. You think that's trippy? It gets way weirder. You know who played his high school ball in Aurora and grew up maybe 10 miles away? Oh, I don't know. A guy named Kerry Chosen, the current starting quarterback here at Kansas. During Chosen's senior season at Eagle Crest High School, he was teammates with Jonathan Kute, a freshman at the time, while Cole Tam played at the rival high school. I didn't even make the connection that both of those guys were from the same hometown and basically from exactly where Kerry Chosen was until after I put them on the board, which is crazy. Apparently, we can only recruit quarterbacks from Denver, and we can only recruit running backs from South Florida. Speaking of running backs, we have 6 on the board, including a guy whose last name is Butt. I wanted to replenish the running back position since Ty Lord and Cornell Teamer are both juniors. We need to get a little younger and prepare for a long-term starter once those guys are gone. The other main highlight is probably the number 1 player in the nation, linebacker Tua Sagapolu, who looks unbelievable. He's the number 1 player in the country, and he's still a gem. So that means he's basically got to be a Jeremiah Smith level prospect in the sense that he could be one of the best players in the nation as a freshman. So you best believe we are going to go all in on landing him. We were able to scout everybody and give them all scholarships here in this first stage. Both Tam and Kute, the quarterbacks, look pretty solid. At the running back position, the highest ranked of the group is Tyrone Lewis, although in my opinion, the best one here is probably Devon Mays. Nonetheless, I'm hoping to get 2 or 3 of those guys into the running back room to compete to be the starter. At wide receiver, Evan Apple, the number 1 receiver in the nation. Orson Boykins, number 2. They both look really good, as does Mike Keaton, 6'4", 97 speed. He can fly. I wanted to make it a point to heavily recruit the tight end position. Offensive line as well. You can never have too many good linemen, for one thing. But also, we didn't really do a good job of recruiting offensive linemen last year. Defensively, another top 5 player in the nation, Jimmy Pena, is also a gem. So like Tua Sagapolu, he very well could be one of the best players at his position immediately. We've got a lot of 5 stars on the board here defensively, including linebacker Emmett Nix. Cornerback Ramon Hector, I think, looks really good. It could be a special defensive class. We've got like 7 or 8 5-stars on the board. Obviously, we're not going to land all of them. But if we can get 2 or 3, certainly those 2 defensive players, that would be awesome. So with that, we have simulated into week number 0. We do not have a game. To be fair, most teams don't have a game. But we can start to get more information. We can look at the schedules across the nation. We can look at the preseason Heisman Watch, which again is very ratings-based. How is Hoss Haney not in first place? How is Jay Pitts not in the top 5? Those do not make any sense to me. Maybe I'm biased, but I think Cornell Teamer should be in the conversation as well. As for week 0, there's a look at your schedule. Notre Dame, probably the most interesting team on the slate. They will be hosting Arkansas. As for recruiting, this is how we're going to use our points. I want to give points to as many guys as possible, particularly the players who have multiple scholarships. A guy like Jonathan Kute, for instance, I think we can wait on because nobody else has offered him a scholarship. These running backs, especially Lewis and Mays, I want to go after quickly. Even though he's not ranked that highly, Mike Keaton, I think, is going to be a stud, so we're going to put a lot of points into him. And then the guys I want the absolute most, we're going to go all in for right away. Jimmy Pena, 4th-ranked player in the nation. We're going to put as many points into him as possible. Same with Tua Sagapolu. Same with Ramon Hector. I think those are probably our 3 biggest targets on the board. 3 5-stars on defense. We're not going to waste any time with them, especially Tua Sagapolu, who is probably the best prospect we've seen in this series. Simulating into week 1, a lot of guys are narrowing their lists down, and a lot of them have us in first place, which is good. Obviously, it's early. Nobody has passed their top 8 yet, but it's good to see us ranked highly for most of these guys. A very encouraging start after last year where we really did not do a good job in the recruiting cycle. Jimmy Pena, Tua Sagapolu, and Ramon Hector are all in first, which is probably the biggest thing we can ask for. As I said earlier, we're not going to spend as much time going over the games across the nation to try to keep things quick. I will go through highlights of the very important games, but here in week 0, the only notable result was Notre Dame losing to Arkansas. Jay Pitts played good, but he was outplayed by the former 5-star Malik Page. Pitts had a lot of good games last year that Notre Dame lost. He kind of needs to be great for them to win, which is not very sustainable for Notre Dame, so they will likely drop out of the rankings after this week. Now we get set for our matchup against Florida State. We want revenge. These guys beat us last year in our building, and we do not want to let it happen again. Florida State, of course, lost the Big 12 title game to TCU, although they almost won. And then they almost won in the first round of the playoff before losing in heartbreaking fashion to LSU. They'll get to play against TCU in a few weeks in week 4. After that, they have 2 ranked games at the end of the year at Baylor and then versus Florida. They dominated Florida the final week of the year to essentially clinch a playoff spot. The winner of that game was in, the loser was out, and obviously it was Florida State. The Seminoles are seeing a lot of changes, though. Luke Kromenhoek is the biggest reason why this team has been good as of recent, but he has left for the NFL. He will likely be a first-round pick, although, again, we'll find out tomorrow. Trevor Jackson beat out Bahid Muhammad in the QB battle. Jackson, a redshirt senior, has waited 4 years, but he finally will make his first career start. Cam Davis becomes the main back with Alexander Colclough, who they got in the transfer portal from Texas State, had a very good freshman season last year. Camden Fryer and LaWayne McCoy, 2 of the most important pieces on last year's offense, return. Their interior offensive line is amongst the very best in college football. Their defense is really solid as well. Hard to imagine this team doesn't take a step back without Luke Kromenhoek, but they are ranked number 5 in the preseason poll. So the media and the coaches clearly believe this team can be good despite losing their star quarterback who finished in 3rd place for the Heisman a year ago. So with that, we get season number 5 of the Kansas Dynasty underway here at home between 2 playoff teams from a year ago and 2 teams who start the year ranked in the top 5, despite the fact that the 2 starting quarterbacks, Trevor Jackson and Kerry Chosen, have a combined total of 0 collegiate starts. That's not a lot, folks. Should be an exciting one nonetheless, as this game is underway. The redshirt freshman Rodney Mama will take a kneel in the end zone, and we take a look at Kerry Chosen leading out the offense. The Chosen One, as he's been nicknamed, is ready for the opportunity. He's been developing here over the last 2 years. He's been very good in practice. He's been very good with in-game reps as he starts with a run to the outside for Cornell Teamer with some blocks. Gets a good one from number 10, the tight end Rasheem Diggs, for a gain of 16. Now at the 41, play action fake. Chosen scrambles to the right side on the run. He connects with the freshman, Elijah Parrish, the 5-star, gaining 21 yards. His first career reception, first of likely many. As I said earlier, I think he will lead the team in catches this year. Chosen short throw for Ty Lord, smothered in the backfield, a loss of around 5. 3rd down and 10 after making up the yardage. Chosen is hit, it's incomplete. Pressure up the middle from Tamir Hickman-Collins. 4th and 10 at the 37. The offense is going to go for it. We're not in punting range, but we're not in field goal range. So we're going to go for it. How fitting to start our season. Chosen hands it off for Cornell Teamer to the right side with a juke move, and he gets around 8. An interesting decision to run the ball, but it looked like they stacked the box lightly, and I think it was a good risk. It's not like we have some great punter. Had he punted into the end zone, they would start at the 20. Here, they're starting at the 29. It's only a 9-yard difference. So even though running the ball on 4th and 10 seems strange, it was a worthwhile risk. There is Carl McGregor losing 2. He's wrapped up by Mo Nwokeji, a returning starter from last year, a team captain who's likely going to play a huge role for us defensively. Nice grab for a first down by Camden Fryer. Only had 2 receptions against Kansas last year, but both of them went for touchdowns. 3rd and 5 on the run. Jackson fires. It's hauled in for a first down. Devon Walters, the sophomore, who's likely to play a huge role in the Seminole offense this upcoming season. Florida State moving it pretty well. 3rd and 2. Davis breaks a tackle. Juke move. Does not get it. I kind of think they called him down early. He was still plugging away there with his feet. But they will give Devin Murphy the tackle, a yard shy of the first down marker. 44-yard field goal for J.D. Gravel is no good. Wide to the right, so they decide to kick on 4th and 1. Can't say I agree with that. And ultimately, it cost them. So both teams had pretty solid drives to open up the game, but neither of them end up scoring. So Kansas gets it back. The first drive of the Kerry Chosen experience was honestly a pretty good one, even though we didn't score. First play of the drive goes to Teamer. Look how fast he was as soon as he got the ball. Ends up with a first down. In my opinion, he's the most dynamic running back in the country. 3rd and 5 now. Chosen looks to throw it. Boink! And it's caught! The freshman Hakeem Ficken with a juke move still on his feet, and he gets 21 yards. The first career reception for the 4-star Hakeem Ficken is awfully unconventional, but hey, that'll work. He wasn't even the intended target. Chosen was looking to throw the ball to Dorian Pepper. Goes off of Ficken's helmet. Good job to locate the football, come down with it, and then make a really nice play after the catch. At 6'3", 200 pounds, he moves really well for his size. Play action. Chosen looks to throw it. Scrambles to the right. On the run. He's got his man. Amani Law inside the 10, a gain of 15 yards. I'm so excited to see the production we will get out of him this year. First and goal. Chosen steps up and is sacked. Damian Keogh brings him down. Chosen certainly not as good under pressure compared to Clyde Poole. Third and goal with a strike for the end zone. It is caught. The true freshman, Elijah Parrish, with his first career touchdown, and the 5-star puts Kansas on the board. The number 7 ranked recruit nationally, the 2nd ranked receiver in the nation, makes it 7-0. Kerry Chosen, meanwhile, is 6 of 9 for 69 yards. No, I am not kidding. That is his actual stat line. Maybe he really is the chosen one. So Florida State will get it back late in the first quarter off of the touchdown drive by the redshirt sophomore quarterback. Davis up the middle, breaks the tackle from Leon Ibrahim and is wrapped up for a first down. Flag on the play, I don't think it's going to matter. Somebody jumped for us. That was Kyrie Brower. That'll wrap up the first quarter. Not a bad start. Kerry Chosen looks the part. Cornell Teamer's looking good. Elijah Parrish has been impressive. And defensively, we've played pretty solid as well up to this point, so we'll see if we can keep it going in the second quarter and beyond against the number 5 ranked Florida State Seminoles. 3rd and 1 to open things up here in quarter number 2. FSU has it at around the 42. Davis bounces off a blocker, gets the first down, breaks the tackle from Tremonti Coleman, and is wrapped up by Soma Satele, the redshirt sophomore linebacker. 3rd and 3. Jackson up the middle, caught, will not go for a first down. Cornell Abreu, the freshman, brings him down, and they are going to punt the ball at the 34-yard line. I get not kicking the field goal. They missed earlier, but, man, grow a pair of nuts. 4th and 1, 4th and inches. They don't go for it either time. Can't say I agree with that at all. Kansas back with it. Ty Lord in the backfield. He gets it here up the middle on 3rd and 1. Is able to run for the first down. Just because Cornell Teamer has Heisman and first-round aspirations does not mean you can forget about Ty Lord. It is still very much a duo rather than a starter and a backup. Chosen on the run as a wide-open man, Amani Law, trying to juke away from the defender. He gets it to around the 15-yard line. A very solid gain of around 34 for Amani Law. Already we're seeing some big plays from Law, who knows a thing or two about big plays. Ty Lord with it to the left side, gets a pair of blocks, first down inside the 5. Lord has been impressive so far. He's been efficient. He has been dynamic. 1st and goal, Teamer, whoop, juke move, he's in, touchdown Kansas. Cornell Teamer, who ran for 1,000 yards and had 10 touchdowns on the ground, gets his first of the year. As I've said, I think he's the best running back in the country. And even though Kerry Chosen is the starting quarterback, and technically he's the most important player on the roster, this is Teamer's team, pun intended. And I think we will go as far as he takes us. If Cornell Teamer takes the superstar leap that I think he's capable of, then this team absolutely can be a title contender. Here's Cam Davis, though, with a big run for Florida State. A response for the Seminoles. Although I've got to say, I'm impressed the linebacker, Santiago Herrera, stuck with him the entire play. Luckily, the touchdown will be taken off the board. A holding against Ezekiel Ibarra, the All-American guard. So the touchdown is a no-go for Florida State. 3rd and 17, short pass is caught. Loane McCoy gets the first down, breaking tackles, and is lit up by Marcus Ashe, another Colorado guy. 2nd and 8. Risky throw, caught for a first down by Fryer. How is that not a PI? I mean, I'm not complaining, but Fryer clearly beat Cornell Abreu off the line. Lot of contact from Quantavious Landers. Should have been a flag, but I'll take it. Loane McCoy up the middle, past the 20. We're seeing some growing pains this drive from Abreu, the freshman. To be expected for a young corner, as that one is nearly intercepted in and out of the hands of Santiago Herrera, who should have come down there with a pick. 3rd and 10 now for Florida State. Under 30 seconds in the half. Short throw, caught. First down inside the 5 to around the 2. That is the tight end, Eric Hurt, who makes the play. 20 seconds to go now. 2nd and goal. Jackson looks to throw it. Short pass is caught. Eric Hurt for the touchdown. And the Seminoles are finally on the board. Took them nearly the entire first half, but it looks like Florida State's going to try to make this a game. 10 seconds left for Kansas. Chosen figures he might as well throw it deep. Looking for Lawn. It is in and out of his hands. That was a perfect throw by Kerry Chosen. We're going to go for it here on 4th and 4. There's 1 second left, so I figure we might as well. Chosen under pressure. Hit as he throws incomplete. That'll do it for the first half. 14-7. We haven't necessarily scored a ton of points, but I like what I'm seeing out of the offense. The run game has been really good. 7 carries, 57 yards for Cornell Teamer. 5 for 38 from Ty Lord. Both of those guys have been really efficient so far. Kerry Chosen, meanwhile, 8 of 15, 106 and a score. He's only completed 53% of his passes, but we had a couple throws at the end of the first half that were basically him just trying to chuck it downfield. I think Chosen's been pretty good. He's made some nice plays. He's avoided mistakes. He's kept the ball out of harm's way. Yeah, he's not going to provide as many big plays as Clyde Poole, but I think he's been steady, and we'll see if he can get into a rhythm in the second half. Trickery from the Seminoles does not go anywhere. Roddy Orr brings down Loane McCoy. That'll go for a loss of a few. We haven't really gotten anything out of the pass rush yet, making it all the more impressive that our defense has only allowed 7 points as Jackson throws it away. The coverage has been great, but if the pass rush can get going, that would certainly help us out a lot. Great field position off of a shanked punt as Teamer gets nothing on 3rd and 4. We're going to go for it again. You know, this team loves to be aggressive in these spots. 4th and 4, past the 50. Chosen will look to throw it, looking for the sideline. Nice footwork by Amani Law for the first down. We saw we had Law one-on-one with the corner. We could have tried for the big play, but we wanted to focus on just getting the first down. Play action. Chosen scrambles, looking deep into the breadbasket. Rasheem Diggs, his first reception is the tight end as he brings it to the 3. Kansas back in the red zone looking to make it a 2-score lead. Chosen looking short. Ty Lord puts the shoulder down and he is in for a touchdown. Very strong drive to open up the second half for Kerry Chosen. 3 for 4, big 4th down conversion, big time throw to Diggs, and then finishing off with the touchdown by Ty Lord, who has continued to have a great game. I think throughout the playoff, we saw the value of Ty Lord by not having him out there. As good as Cornell Teamer is, he's at his best when he is a partner in crime, and that's obviously been the case today, as Kansas gets their first sack of the game. Devin Murphy and Roddy Orr both bringing down Trevor Jackson. As I said, we've got to get the pass rush going. These guys have got to step up. We don't have Takaias Brinkley. We don't have Seth Jennings anymore, our 2 best pass rushers from a year ago. We're going to need one of these guys to become the alpha. Punting unit on for Florida State. They shanked the kick last time around, and it is shanked again. What is going on? The sophomore Tyler Knowles has lost it. Don't want to potentially muff the punt. That would be bad. But Knowles is no scrub. He's a 78 overall. He's quite a bit better than our punter. On first down, Chosen, play action. Great throw for Diggs. And Kerry Chosen now finally really seems to be in a rhythm. He really seems to be getting comfortable as he is now 12 of 20. Nicholas Scotland-Williamson looking to break some tackles. He gets the first down, wrapped up by the All-American safety J.J. Coors. Scotland-Williamson's been quiet so far today as on 2nd and 2. Chosen scrambles, has multiple wide-open receivers and blatantly misses Amani Law. At first, we had a guy open in the end zone. Then Amani Law was wide open. No excuse. Chosen's got to make that throw. We do get the first down at least. It is Cornell Teamer who converts for Kansas. Still feels like a wasted opportunity, though. A really bad miss by Chosen. We'll go play action again, though. Chosen under pressure. He is sacked on the play. Trying to do something with it. If it was Clyde Poole, he would have been able to run out of that. But again, it's a little different. with Chosen. Amari Williams with the sack as Chosen is hit as he throws on third down, and that one is incomplete. Field goal unit on for the first time this year. 39-yard try for Anthony Escalante. His kick is good. Escalante starts the year 1 for 1. Was perfect on kicks in the regular season last year, although he did miss a field goal in each of our playoff wins. Cam Davis back with it for Florida State. Gets the first down where he is wrapped up by Javier Callaway. This one is coming back, though. A holding call against Florida State. This time it is the right tackle, Manuel Berkovici. Third down on 11 for the Seminoles. Late in the third, down by 17. Jackson up the middle. Big throw. Nice catch. Despite a big hit from Javier Callaway, the number 1 player in the transfer portal from Nebraska. Good catch there by the Wayne McCoy. 2nd and 10. Jackson under pressure. He is sacked. Afaji, the former 5-star with his first sack of the year. We are expecting him to come along in a major way. I think he's the guy who ultimately will be our alpha pass rusher. And if he has a good season, I think he could go into next year being looked at as a first-round pick. 3rd and long, lobbing it deep downfield. It is broken up by Tremonti Coleman and Quantavius Landers. After another shanked punt, Kansas gets it back. Final play of the third. Ty Lord to the outside, gets a block. Another first down. Ty Lord has been incredible. We're trying to be cautious with his usage because obviously he's coming off the injury in the playoffs last year, but he's been spectacular today. Third quarter in the books. Jayhawks looking good. They lead at 24-7, moving it down the field nicely here, looking to add to the lead, add some insurance. Kerry Chosen did not have a particularly great third quarter, though. He had some bad misses. And overall, his accuracy's been kind of disappointing today. Cornell Teamer loses 3. It is now a 3rd and 13 for the Jayhawks. Teamer stays in the backfield. Parrish in motion. He gets the pitch. Parrish with room to run. As I said earlier, dynamic with the ball. Big play after the catch for a first down, and it will not matter. Holding against the offense on the right guard, Benji Trahan, the redshirt sophomore, who was in and out of the starting lineup last year. He'll be a full-time starter now. 3rd and 21. Chosen looks to scramble on the run, looking for Law. That one is off the mark. Another bad throw. Chosen now just 12 of 24, and Kansas would punt it away. Down by 3 scores, it's go time for the Seminoles. 2nd and inches. Jackson looks to throw, and he's intercepted! Javier Callaway, the number 1 player in the portal, is the number 1 player in the hearts and minds of Jayhawk fans alike. Takes it to the crib for a pick 6. Welcome to Lawrence, young man. Javier Callaway, the former Cornhusker, makes it 31-7. Florida State back with it. First play of the drive is the only play. Quantavius Landers, number 1 on the jersey, is the new number 1 in the hearts of the Jayhawks. Puts Florida State to bed. Back-to-back pick 6s. Look at the score. 38-7. Kansas is putting the waterworks on these guys. We sometimes have had a problem of leaving the door open too long for the opposition. Defense says, not so fast. Nearly another interception on 3rd down. That was Tremonti Coleman, who got his hands on it. No reason not to go for it if you're Florida State. Here on 4th and 2, down by 31 all of a sudden as that one is caught. Good grab by Fryer. Quick hit by Jalen Todd. FSU finally passed the 50. Trevor Jackson under pressure, and he is sacked. Devin Murphy, 1.5 this afternoon. Quiet first half for Murphy. Very good second half, and he's doing it against, again, in my opinion, the best interior offensive line in the country. Here's a big play for Florida State. Nearly intercepted by Callaway, but instead it's Devon Walters who takes it for a house call. A 54-yard touchdown for the redshirt sophomore from Naples, Florida. And the Seminoles are on the board for the first time since the second quarter. Onside kick attempt, scooped out of the air by Jason McBean. Kansas gets it back with a change at quarterback. Kerry Chosen has not been benched. Let me make that perfectly clear. But since we're up by 24, we're going to get Carl Willingham, along with many other backups, some reps. I still want Cornell Teamer to help us chew some clock. He's the running back I trust the most. 4th and 1 after not getting it on 3rd down. He gets the direct snap and will get the first down past the 30-yard line. We are going to see these young guys continue to trickle in. There's Jamison Michaels in at running back. Willingham's first throw is well off for Rasheem Diggs. I figure we need to keep giving him a lot of playing time because he needs as many reps as he can get at tight end. A lot of the young guys now in defensively as well. Jackson looking deep. He's got Fryer, who leaves Exodus Ayers in the dust. And Florida State adding some more points here in the fourth. An 80-yard touchdown for Camden Fryer, who burns Exodus Ayers, the former Oregon State corner. You know, if Florida State gets this two-point conversion, it's a two-score game. But it is broken up in the end zone. Lane Oregon, the true freshman, got his hands on it. Now we're a little more prepared for the onside kick. We'll see if we can recover, look to slam the door, and sure enough, we do. Scooped up by Pierre Wilbon, and that will do it. 20-38, a top 5 win for Kansas here in week 1. We start the year 1-0. 1-0 in conference, that's a big deal, against the team who beat us last year in Florida State. This was kind of a weird game because I really don't think Kerry Chosen was particularly good. I'm not very worried about him, though. I'll explain why in a little bit. And I'm very encouraged about this game because even without good quarterback play, we dominated against the top 5 team in the country. This roster is national championship caliber, and if the quarterback play can get there, this team can win a title. But that's the question. I would certainly feel a lot more comfortable if Clyde Poole was under center. But I think Kerry Chosen's going to get there. We threw him into the deep end by making his first start a huge conference game against the top 5 team. There was some good and some bad. The good is we saw some impressive big-time throws. He kept the ball out of harm's way. Even though he was inaccurate, he was never close to turning it over. His misses were on open misses rather than throwing it into traffic being an idiot. So I'm confident Kerry Chosen will be more accurate in the weeks to come. Accuracy is his strength. He wasn't accurate today, but I'm confident he will be in the future. We ran the ball really well in the first half and really poorly in the second half. Remember, Cornell Teamer was averaging 8 yards a carry at halftime. I think the problem in the second half, though, is that we couldn't throw the ball. So Florida State really only had to play to stop Cornell Teamer, which they did. And again, I think once we get the passing game going with Kerry Chosen, that's going to open things up for Cornell Teamer, who's going to be really effective. And I think the best way to describe the discrepancy in the run game is to compare him to Ty Lord, who didn't get the ball that much in the second half because, again, I want to be cautious with his usage. He mainly played in the first half where he was awesome. 7 carries, 63 yards. So I think once the passing game is more consistent, it will show with how we run the ball because teams are going to have to respect the pass and they're not going to keep 8 or 9 guys in the box every play. Another thing for Kerry Chosen is once he gets going, we're going to be able to use these receivers more effectively. I don't think we're going to have 12 completions in a game again. Chosen did not throw a completion in the final 15 minutes of the game. So I'm confident Amani Law is going to get more than 3 catches regularly. Elijah Parrish is going to get the ball more than 3 times. Rayjon Jones is going to get it more than once. Those guys will be used more effectively once Kerry Chosen is more consistent. As for the offensive line, as I said earlier, this is a pivotal year for the offensive line because unlike the past, their production is actually important for our quarterback. Defensively, I thought we played really well. The pass rush came alive in the second half. I thought the linebackers were good throughout the game. The coverage was good throughout the game. And, of course, the pick sixes to essentially ice it. Florida State added some points late, but their offense really did not get much going. They had 7 points in the first 3.5 quarters. Trevor Jackson did fill up the stat sheet, though. Their run game was fine, and they did have 3 receivers with over 90 yards, but both Walters and Fryer scored touchdowns in garbage time. LaWayne McCoy was really the only consistently effective receiver for them throughout the game. Defensively, they were pretty solid. I thought their pass rush was pretty solid, and because of that, Kerry Chosen had to throw out of sacks. We've got to see him be better under pressure. I think the biggest takeaway from this game is that if Kerry Chosen plays well, this team can win the national championship because it gives the receivers so many more opportunities. It opens things up for the run game. If Chosen does not play well and he continues to play like this, well, that might be a problem because I don't expect the defense to consistently play this well. We're getting more guys narrowing their lists down, some players down to 5. We're ranked number 1. Interesting. So, in terms of guys who are down to 5, the biggest one is 5-star corner Ramon Hector. We're in first place for him. We're in first for the quarterback Cole Tam, and we're in first for pretty much everybody who's down to 8. including 5-star wide receiver Orson Boykins, who I think has a chance to be a really good player. So since we're in week 1, none of these games are ultra important, so we're not going to go through highlights, but we will talk about some of the notable results. 48 from Mississippi State. Their offense could be quite good with Steven Schreiber, who I think will contend with Cornell Teamer to be one of the best backs in the country. The reigning champions, Alabama, lose to Maryland despite a big fourth quarter comeback. Gordon Podlesny is the starter, had a really good freshman year at Tulane, transfers to Alabama as the backup for Holstein, is now the starter where he was very good. Not quite as good as Christian Martin, who threw for 6 touchdowns. The star of the show through the air was Byron Smith, who takes over the Miles Steele, Nick Harbor role as the deep threat. They got him in the portal. That's a perfect fit. He's going to be awesome. One of the biggest surprises for me was South Carolina only losing by 2. That one caught me off guard as they nearly beat UNC. TCU and LSU both won. I thought there'd be more chaos at the top with us jumping to number 1, but I guess since we beat a really good team, we just happen to pass TCU and LSU since they didn't play teams nearly as good. Good win for Georgia. I think that they had the team's success. Yvonne St. Jules should be a Heisman contender. We will not be speaking about that game. Iowa lost more than just about anybody this year, and sure enough, they only scored 9 points, losing to Duke. LSU does not beat Central Michigan convincingly, only by 12. Florida over Syracuse, couple of ranked teams. USC's offense back to business without Sam Onatulu. Michigan puts up 62. Baylor loses to North Texas. Ohio State beats Buffalo. Remember, Michigan lost to Buffalo last year. I feel like Ohio State fans are going to, use that as leverage. I mean, they haven't played against Michigan in 2 years. They've kind of chickened out, but that's not the point. UCF beats SMU, although Sean Pullard throws 4 touchdowns in his first career start. So Pullard individually played better than Chosen, but Chosen's team ended up winning. As for some other scores across the rest of the nation, Pitt allows 52 against Michigan State, that is. Troy beats Clemson. That is really interesting. Clemson brought in Corin LaRoque, the quarterback from South Carolina, who I thought should have been the best player in the portal. LaRoque has been really good at South Carolina, but their team has stunk. Maybe Corin LaRoque is just a loser because Clemson lost. South Carolina nearly beat UNC. Missouri beat San Diego State. Our other main rival, Kansas State, also won. They beat FCS Northwest. And then looking down the list here, Virginia 2-0 to start the year. Texas, with Kane Mama, the former SMU quarterback, gets a win. Liberty beats Virginia Tech, who lost Davi Belfort, their quarterback, to the NFL draft. So we are now number 1 for the media and the coaches poll, lapping TCU and LSU, even though they both won. I would argue we're an underdog, though, going into next week. At Ohio State, hostile environment. The Buckeyes have one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the nation in Julian Sayin, his 4th year as a starter. They've got a great defense, a great group of weapons, including our former tight end, Isaiah Lamore. As for the players of the week, the list includes Hoss Haney, picking up where he left off from last year. Haney, in my opinion, should be the front runner for the Heisman, and he comes into the year as the favorite to be the number 1 pick in the 2029 NFL Draft. So that will wrap things up. Next time around, we've got multiple games to cover. As I said, we're going to get through this season quickly. This is the only episode with 1 game. We're going to have some episodes with 2 games. We're going to have some with 3. And I think that will include the next episode. At Ohio State versus Missouri, our rivals, and then versus Colorado, a Big 12 matchup. And they're ranked number 13. So 3 very big games. There are no easy matchups this year. Kerry Chosen's going to have to learn on the fly, and he is going to have to learn fast. It'll be a hostile environment for him on the road, and I'm really curious to see how he performs after, in my opinion, a fairly underwhelming debut. Although you can't be too upset. We beat Florida State by 3 scores. That'll wrap things up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Peace out. Rock Chalk.